just phrased it, but you mentioned bad behaviors.
Disordered behaviors.
Disordered behaviors. Better word than bad behavior. I'm like, I know it was smarter than that. What kind of disordered behaviors did you find yourself doing?
Disordered behaviors is like a general term for disordered eating, disordered thoughts, things that kind of fall under the eating disorder umbrella that aren't specified. So, for example, like I identify with that term disordered behaviors because I didn't have like anorexia or bulimia or exactly binge eating. I just had characteristics of those things that weren't and so I had trouble finding treatment because it didn't like fit neatly into any of those things. And I think a lot of women especially, or identified people, have some spot on the spectrum where they deal with those things. And because a lot of times we talk about it as like you're anorexic if you like are 10 pounds and you look like it. Yeah. But it's actually like, oh no, like a lot of people have anorexia or have disordered behaviors or like, you know. And so for me, like, a lot of it, like for a lot of people, eating disordered behavior has to do with like control of your body, control of your behaviors when you can't control your things. So when I got depressed and felt out of control of my emotions and my state of mind, and I gained a lot of weight, I was worried that I would fall back into old disordered behaviors that I'd had in high school and then managed to like get away from a little bit, but hadn't truly like dealt with or managed. And since I have become body positive and become fat positive, it's only then that I've actually been able to like seek out like a nutritionist to help me like deal with some of those things or deal with even some of the like health issues that I've had in the past that like were too hard and complicated to deal with when I was still like who felt like this big miasma of you know fear and just everything. Yeah, so that's what disordered behaviors are, just like things that are thoughts or activities around food and body that are harmful.
Yeah, which I think, like you said, a lot of women deal with, like especially the thoughts. Like I, as I mentioned, I work in fashion, and I think like that's like a huge part of working in the fashion industry. That's super frustrating to be around because all women talk about is food and how to stay thin, and it's a very difficult environment to like constantly be around.
Oh,
like I don't know, what industry do you work in?
I'm a writer. So, yeah, so I want to be a TV writer, and I'm like writing a novel, and I do freelance like article writing stuff. Yeah. So, and I write mostly in like feminist or femme spaces. So I end up writing about fashion stuff. Like, with our podcast, we were asked to go to KirbyCon, which is like a plus size fashion event in New York. And we like did a bunch of recording there, and then it was like, okay, well that's nice, but like all the vendors here only go up to size 24. Like we talked to one of them who was like wanted to sponsor part of the podcast, and they were like, yeah, we're Macy's, like we like are so inclusive now, we go up to 24. And I was like, well, I'm 26, so like I can't show for you when like, I can't even wear your stuff. And the rep was like thin, and she was like, well, it's a stretchy 24. I was like, oh my god.
You are problematic, ma'am.
Yeah. Cool, good job. Like, or they had like the fashion show there, and like all of the, I mean, it's a separate conversation about how plus size fashion is like, I was like, cool, I wore this in college in like 2011. You know what I mean? Like, it's so behind the times. But like, also all the models for plus size fashion lines are size 12, 14, which is not, again, not plus size.
I was gonna, so my cousin is a designer at Torrid, and she was just in Fashion Week, or they just showed in Fashion Week. And so I was reading this article about all of the guests that...
Yeah, I read that one that was like the straight size like, influencers were in the front row and stuff. And Torrid is like a big pusher of that. Like and I'm like, how many more dark florals are you gonna push on me?
Exactly. like, and it's it was a very, I didn't read the whole thing, but I did love how they were like, all of the people that actually needed to see the collection were in the back, and then they had the size zeros sitting in the front rows just because they're like, you know, influencers and like whatever. And it was just like, and I guess the girl who wrote it is a plus size blogger, and she was like, it was just insane. Like because
infuriating.
My cousin is, she's don't really want to call her plus size because I don't really know what plus size is, but I like her, and then I have a good friend that's a plus size blogger, so it's like interesting just to see their perspectives on everything. I mean, plus size is like where the money is right now.
Ashley
it's
Seaford,
like crazy.
I don't know if you know who she is. She's like a black fashion writer for New York Mag mostly, and she wrote a piece for The Cut that was like, our money's on the table.
Yeah. No, it's like I work at a swimwear company, and it's a private label, so our main client is Walmart.
Yeah.
And I mean, plus size is like what we do.
Yeah.
Like, and it's just like that's where all of the money is right now. I mean, it's also almost obnoxious what a trend it's become, but obviously it's good. I think just because it's all I like see now. I'm like, okay, I get it. Like, stop trying to everyone do it.
mean,
but it's also amazing because it's like it needs to be shoved in everyone else's faces.
Well,
It's
maybe
like
if it would be just like a
normal.
thing.
Yeah, I think that's more of where my frustration lies.
Right,
But of course, like
I think it was not Walmart, but it was Kmart recently was like, our plus sizes are now called fabulous sizes. And I was like, fuck off.
yeah, like you don't need to like.
What are you doing?
Yeah, it's like it's like condescending marketing,
Yes.
kind of. You know, it's like,
oh my god, you're fabulous, and like,
Yeah.
it's like, what's the difference between like you're not fat, you're pretty?
Yeah,
Like, I
yeah.
can be both.
Both,
You
yeah,
don't have
exactly.
to talk down to me about it. Just
Yeah.
like let me buy your shit.
yeah.
It's really not that hard, guys.
It's not.
Just stop fucking talking about it all the time. Just do it.
Insane. Or it's like they talk about it like it's like an alien concept.
Yeah.
They'll be like, we're gonna call it extra large fabulous sizing. Vanity sizing is not what we want. I'm so confused. I'm
Yeah.
like, what are you?
Yeah, just say the size.
Yeah.
Like, stop mixing the message. Like just
can
say
you
the
imagine
size.
going into a store and being like, excuse me, where's the fabulous?
No, I would kill myself.
So,
No matter who or what I was.
No,
I don't want to ask for the fabulous size.
So I don't want fabulous size clothing. I just want like
something that fits
accessible
you.
fashion.
Yeah.
Yeah, totally. Which is
Awesome.
also like in fashion especially, I think even though they're like part of the reason that they're having trouble with it is because they're like, oh, we can sell to this market, but they're not really grappling with this idea that like fat isn't bad.
Yeah,
like, it's just a descriptor. You know what I mean? And so they're like, oh, how do we sell to these people like while we also still think that they're bad?
Yeah.
You know? It's like, don't do that. Just be like, they're a customer and like anyone else.
Yeah. It's so
Like,
weird.
It is very bizarre to me.
People moralize
Yes,
weight.
totally.
And it's if aliens were to come to the Earth and meet one of us, and like we were just to give them the rundown and hear like the things that we moralize, they'd be like, "What the fuck? It's all of it's so stupid."
Like we moralize, we idealize girls that are anorexic and have serious disorders more than healthy people, which is very sick.
Well, it's also like, you know, there's always discussion about whether fat is or is not healthy, and to me, it's kind of like health is not a moral obligation. So you deserve respect whether or not your body is healthy, and you deserve respect whether or not, you know, someone else would make the same choices you do about your body. So I like to ask people like, oh, well, would you like say the same thing to someone in a wheelchair? Would you be like, well, it's just not healthy, so like I just don't think it's okay?
Yeah.
It's like, no.
It's none of your fucking business.
Like, exactly. Which is not to say that like fat is a disability at all, but it's just like a lot of arguments when people like, so I participate in a lot of like fat positive things on Instagram, and whenever I post anything, there'll be people who come and comment like, it's just not healthy, and I'm like, you don't know if I'm healthy or not. You also don't know any of my personal history, and like also I'm sure you know a lot of thin people who are extremely unhealthy, and also it doesn't matter. Like, again, health is not a moral obligation at all, you know?
That's a very, very, very interesting point, because like I will definitely admit like I've had that thought, and I'm like, well, and I also like, for me more so, I grew up with like a very obsessively healthy family, and like when I graduated college, I had gained weight in college. I gained like 20-30 pounds, so it was like a noticeable difference. And my mom, the first thing she did was sign me up for personal training, and was like super obsessive about what I ate, because she's very like, you have to, like, you're just unhealthy. And so I've definitely like, and I always told her, I'm like, you are lucky that you had a pretty thin girl for most of her life because you would have given other girls an
like
eating disorder, like and a complex. And like I'm fortunate that I never got that complex, and like she loved me no matter what, blah blah. But because she's so obsessively health conscious, like I've always kind of had that in me where it's like if I saw